So corruption is something that you can finish, because corruption is where we lose all the monies for development. We eat even what belongs to the future. So therefore, I believe that just take what is yours, then give wananchi what is also theirs, what they deserve. So I think that is why I see Nairobi as a vacant space. Nairobi has no governor as we speak. Hakuna kitu, hiyo ni takataka yote, hakuna leadership hapo hata kidogo. If we are serious with leadership, then we need to get a serious leader. But hii nyingine, hii hakuna kitu hapo. Thank you very much, Hilary, and thank you once again to every Kenyan who's here. First, if I start with the issue of the political party, as I speak, I'm still in ODM because I'm a member of parliament elected in ODM. As of tomorrow is tomorrow's problem that we shall solve when tomorrow comes. But as of today, I'm a member of parliament, courtesy of ODM. And the Kenya Moja movement is a movement that has its own democratic rights to fight for the interest of Kenyan citizens. ODM means Orange Democratic Movement. The democracy part of it dictates that you can always have your own say. The majority will have their way, the minority can have their say, but you be careful because the minority with God becomes the majority. And the way things are, I think we are on the right side of history, where we are with the majority of Kenyans. And as a leader, having been elected, my work in parliament is to provide checks and balances under the doctrine of separation of powers, checks and balances. This doctrine came up in the year 1940s. That is by a gentleman called Modigliani. Modigliani was a French citizen. He came up with the idea of the doctrine of checks and balances, that the role of opposition is to check the excesses of any government, of any executive. And that is why we came up with Kenya Moja movement, because it is a movement that is going to provide alternative leadership. Some people call it the third force. We call it the only force, because this is a force of young, like-minded individuals with an intention to change Kenya for the better. If by natural means we were to die, if we talk about the law of succession, there's a doctrine called the doctrine of Comorientes. If by natural ways a person is to die, then it is presumed that an older person will die faster or ahead of a younger person. By that virtue in itself, the doctrine of Comorientes, it means therefore that young people will be left behind. And if we are left behind, what type of a country do we want to lead? What type of a country do we also want to leave behind, as we'll also be going at some point? And that is why we came up with this movement, which is an opposition movement. So that is what I can say about the Kenya Moja movement. We are in opposition. We will perform the roles of opposition. We will fight for the interest of Kenyans. And that is where we are as things are. As Babu Owino, I've always stood with wananchi. Majority of members of ODM voted for the finance bill that passed, the 2023 finance bill. I didn't vote for it. Majority of members of parliament were running through the tunnel, escaping. I joined the Gen Zs in the streets. I've been going to court to remove Gen Zs who are charged with robbery with violence, which is a capital offense, which was declared unconstitutional, by the way. And I've also been going to remove them from courts, having been charged with terrorism, having been charged with arson, and other charges. So clearly you've been seeing what I've been doing. So that alone tells you that even if I'm in ODM, as a leader, I have my independent mind. I do not need to depend on anybody's mind. I'm also a leader who people went to elect. And they went to elect me on the grounds that I will serve them. And that is what I'm doing right. The day I know as a leader, these positions are temporary. Before me,
So,
they were leaders.
Honorable Babu, just a quick question then. I just want to make sure. Have you fallen out with ODM leadership? Or you are specifically pushed away on ideology of exclusion or betrayal? Well, you said ODM no longer stands for. Before I even had ODM, you see, doesn't understand stand for youth or justice. What does your generation of movement stand for? For that ODM and Zimio failed to deliver.
I think I've explained what our movement has been doing, which is basically to provide checks and balances on the excesses of the executive. And I think we've been calling out even the issues of SHA, issues matters corruption, when it comes to education, when capitation is not released, when SHA, when non-existent hospitals or health facilities were being paid. We talked about it. We've been talking about a lot of things as a Kenya Moja movement. Nairobi is a capital city, and in the early years, in 1970s and 80s, Nairobi could loan East African countries. Nairobi could give basically money, loans to East African countries. But as we speak now, Nairobi has completely been multiplied by zero. When you look at the leadership in Nairobi, we don't have leadership in Nairobi, we have dealership in Nairobi. We had so much faith and trust in the current governor, but as clearly you've seen the way things have always been, the governor has always been ranked among the bottom 10 performing governors in the whole country with credible poll firms, that is Infotrack and other firms. You've seen the controller of budget saying clearly that the governor of Nairobi only set aside, allocated 3% of the total budget to development, and the total budget is 43 billion Kenya shillings per year. The World Bank report that was recently released indicated that Nairobi should be run on approximately 87 billion Kenya shillings. 67 billion should be on-source revenue. And they indicated how this on-source revenue should be, how it should be gotten. And then the 20 billion remaining comes from the national government. As we speak, we have a budget of 43 billion as Nairobians, but this 43 billion, only 3% of it is allocated to development. The other day you saw, even in news, it was everywhere, both electronic, print, social media, all these media channels, they reported clearly that the governor spent close to around 800 million on transport only, fare, traveling. So we have a governor who loves entertainment more than development. I speak from a point of ethos, that is from a point of both logos, that is facts, and ethos, ethics, by the fact that I was ranked as the best member of parliament in Kenya for 2 consecutive years, shows that I'm development oriented. When it comes to Nairobi, the issues of concern that face Nairobians, the challenges that face Nairobians, number one is drainage and roads. When it rains for around 30 minutes, Nairobi becomes a lake with several rivers supplying the lake, which is the CBD. And this is a capital city. You would think that something wrong is happening in Nairobi. There should be a budget set aside to do the drainages, to do the drainage in Nairobi, and to do the roads in Nairobi. Number 2, garbage. The issue of garbage should not be a problem in Nairobi. And by the time you will be solving the issues of unemployment when you are constructing roads, because engineers will get jobs there. And also, watu wa mkono, even the person on the ground who are going to do these jobs are going to get jobs from these roads. Number 2, garbage. Why would a governor be walking and going to the streets to sweep, to be seen that is humble? That is not the work of a governor, because you must not be seen. Can the governor sweep his own house? If you can answer that, then the idea of the governor going to the streets and posting one street every time where he has bought one dustbin and placed there, That dustbin, if you look at the Auditor General's report, it shows you clearly the amount of money that was used to purchase a dustbin and vis-a-vis what a dustbin should be costing. Now, the issue of garbage. Why don't you devolve the issue of garbage collection to the ward level where young men, women, and even our fathers can register companies, and these companies, you give them jobs for garbage collection. If one company can even provide jobs for 20 to 30 youth or women, and there are many companies within a ward, there are so many jobs that shall be created from the garbage collection. But what we see in Nairobi, these trucks were bought. You saw the Auditor General's report was indicating that one lorry that was bought at 28 million ought to have costed between 10 to 15 million. So which means there is a lot of money that has been pilfered, that has been stolen by the county government, to be specific, by the governor of Nairobi. So this garbage issue is a business where people who don't even live in Nairobi, MPs from parliament are given these jobs and they are paid in form of hewa. So Nairobians, your money that you pay gets lost through these means. Garbage is another issue. The third issue that we have in Nairobi is the issue of water. Insufficient supply of water. The sad thing is that on a daily basis, from Dakaini Dam, from Spring Valley Dam, from the Northern Tunnel Collector, we receive approximately 546 million liters of water per day. Nairobians, who are 5 million, who are around 10 million by the day and 5 million by night, are expected to use only 300 million liters of water per day. Then we ask ourselves that now that we receive an extra of 246, how comes we still don't get water from Monday to Sunday? The answer is simple. Number one, the infrastructure that was set up for water runs way back from those days of independence, 1960s, 70s. Those pipes that were laid down on the ground, some of them have leakages. So water is lost through leakages. Number two, water is lost through contamination with sewage. And sewage is a function of the county government. Now, when water is contaminated, you will not get sufficient supply of water. Number three, the cartels. Cartels block water, they block these pipes not to reach the intended destinations. That is why water is rationed in Nairobi. All this is as a result of poor leadership. A great leader, a good leader, will ensure that all these are broken so that people can receive water from Monday to Sunday without saying that Nairobi will, other parts of Nairobi will only receive water twice in a week or thrice or even 4 times in a week. So that is poor leadership. Number 4 challenge that we have in Nairobi are matters health. We have very good health facilities in terms of the physical structures that we have. But how it is managed is clearly so poor. Doctors were the other day protesting because of delays in their salaries. So what do? When it comes to human resource, ensure that you get qualified personnel, the medics, so that they can provide proper service to Kenyans, to Nairobians. Number 2, pay them and pay them on time so that there is no problem. Even workers at the county assembly, they have problems because they've not been paid for the longest time possible. And number 3, buy drugs. Hii maneno ya ati the county workers wanaenda wanabeba empty boxes, they are saying that they've restocked. When you go to Mama Lucy, you will cry. That is a death. Actually, Mama Lucy is just a death trap. There's a day I was there. One of my friends was sick, so I went to see him. When I went there, unfortunately, he passed on. When I left, 2 ladies ran towards me, literally knelt down at 7 p.m. I was wondering, as somebody died and they were crying. So I told them to stand up. Then they asked me, Babu, help us. I told them what's happening. They told me that their mom was bleeding. And the medics, the doctors refused to take care of them because they had not paid 1,500 shillings. So which means that we lose so many people because of 1,000 to 2,000 Kenya shillings. You cannot get X-ray from these hospitals, from these medical facilities, if you don't have money. But you see, it is very clear that doctors even signed a Hippocratic oath that says that you preserve life first, life preservation. And nurses also took an oath, the Nightingale pledge, that you go for life first. But you see, lack of motivation can make them not even take care of these patients. But this needs a governor who is hands-on, a governor who is not drinking 24/7, a governor who is not consuming cocaine 24/7. These things, we consumed them many years ago and we stopped because these things destroy lives. And right now, we need a sober governor, because that office, you need somebody who can work, somebody with a vision, not somebody with a mission. A vision to transform lives for the better, not a mission to change lives for the bitter, not to make people's lives bitter, but to better them. Now, when it comes to health, we can work on machines also. We can work on the bed space for the ICUs. And if you go to these hospitals, if you see the way our mothers are disrespected, they deliver even on the floor, which is quite sad. That is lack of leadership, because somebody does not care. We have a governor in Nairobi, a governor who was blessed while he was young. He went to Aga Khan Primary School, later on went to Lenana, then disappeared, gave up at the university. But if somebody went to Aga Khan Primary School, it means that that person was capable of paying fees. If he was capable of paying fees, it means clearly that that person has never slept hungry if you are going to Aga Khan. So if you tell them that you are hungry, if you tell him that you are hungry, he will think that you are an animal. We need leaders who have gone through life, leaders who have lacked fee. If you tell them your child is not going to school because of lack of fees, they will understand because they lacked it at some point. If you tell them that you are sleeping hungry because you don't have food, they will understand because at some point in life, they went without food. So, mistake that we made is to fall in, we looked at physical features to elect. We forgot the muscle of the brain. We have a governor whom, if you allow him, if you question him a lot, he can develop a muscle pull of the brain. Now, when we work on water, we work on roads, we work on drainage, we work on garbage, we work on jobs. As you're working on garbage, you'll be providing jobs. If you build more ECDs, you will be providing jobs for teachers and also the support staff. If you build, if you expand our hospitals, you'll be providing jobs for medics and also the support staff. If you build roads, you'll be providing jobs for our engineers and also the support staff. If you work on garbage, you'll be giving jobs to the people also on the ground. Now, there's this bursary that is always issued. Personally, as Babu Owino, I'm a byproduct of education. Were it not for education, I would have never come to Nairobi. My first time to come to Nairobi was in the year 2007. By 2017, God had blessed us and we were a member of parliament. It means that God has a purpose for us. And I would have never been a member of parliament if at all there was no education. So I value education because I know that through that education, a child can be self-employed. Then that person can also get a job, and we can equally transform this nation. We know the role of education in economic development. In the medical world, you know what education plays. If you go to any hospital, what nurses do, what other lab technicians do, what doctors do is all education. If you go to the service industry that provides 65% to the Kenyan economy, that is banking, insurance, education, and health, you know what education provides. You go to the agricultural part that provides approximately 19% of the Kenyan economy. How the manufacture of fertilizer is education. How you apply that fertilizer is education. How you will find a way of digging, hii kulima shamba, plowing is education. You go to manufacturing and construction, which provides around 16% to the economy. That's all education. So therefore, it is education which is at the core of economic growth. So when we are issuing bursaries, we need to issue bursaries without looking at any tribe, without being tribal, without discrimination, whether a person voted for you or not. These people deserve services. You have to work for them as their leader and give bursaries and let that bursary reach the intended destination, the intended purpose. You work on education. Then I think you check as a leader, you check at corruption within City Hall. The way you are as a leader, you will set a clear pathway on how your workers will be. If you're a corrupt leader, your workers are going to be corrupt. If you set things straight, then I can assure you that your workers are going to follow your example. So corruption is something that you can finish, because corruption is where we lose all the monies for development. We eat even what belongs to the future. So therefore, I believe that just take what is yours, then give wananchi what is also theirs, what they deserve. So I think that is why I see Nairobi as a vacant space. Nairobi has no governor as we speak. Hakuna kitu, hiyo ni takataka yote, hakuna leadership hapo hata kidogo. If we are serious with leadership, then we need to get a serious leader. But hii nyingine, hii hakuna kitu hapo.